Okay, so using type for the first time is pretty easy to do. From our blog page, there's a link, so you can click into it, and it's, the project is called, it's actually part 2 of our Abstract Expressionist project. It's adding type. And at the bottom of the post, you'll see word list link. The word list links are the links are grayed out, so just click on it. And this is a site for writers to kind of help them, come up with different words for different moods or emotions. And it works perfectly for our Abstract Expressionist project, with the Abstract Expressionists working to really express their emotions or moods or feelings. This is a good one, good thing to choose. So you're basically going to choose one, look at your piece, and kind of determine what kind of mood might work with it. What do you guys think about this one? Is it more on the happy side, more on the gloomy side?
Confused.
Gloomy?
Confused.
Confused? Okay. So I'm going to check out words, and there's more positive, there's more negative, there's some that are maybe in between. I like evasive. Dreary. I should pick this quickly. Of course, now that I want to pick it quickly, it'll take me a while. Yeah, I'll just use evasive. Okay, so I grab it, I highlight it, and now I'm just going to copy it. Now you could type it too. There's no problem with that, but Command-C to copy, and then I'm going to go into my project, and I'm going to use my type tool. Type tool is a big T. When you hold down on it, there's a few different ones. There's the normal type tool that writes horizontally. There's one that writes vertically. There are 2 mask tools. Avoid using those for now until you know what they do. I'll show you those. We'll do a project with them, but not quite yet. For your first time diving into type, I don't want you guys to use that one. So these 2 you can use. So I'll choose just the normal type tool. Now when I choose it, in my options bar, I get my font, and I get my, whether it's bold or italic, and I also get the size option, the sharp, crisp, strong, smooth. It doesn't really change it all that much. You can check that out if you want to. Paragraph alignment, left, centered, right alignment. You can mess with those. I generally say I recommend just leaving it left. And color, we have a type warp. And then on CS5 now we have a little link to our character panel. So you can click it and it sends you to that, or it opens it for you. I don't believe CS3 has that, but you can get to it this way. You go to Window and you choose Character, and it'll open the window for you. Most of the commands, well, the most important ones are here. The spacing commands are here. And if you wanted to spread out the letters or you wanted to drop some of the letters, that's where you would do it. Okay, so now to go ahead and type, you might be in the habit of typing by dragging a type box first. I'm going to ask that you guys avoid doing that. And there's a few reasons. One reason is because if you have a type box and you try to rotate it, the type won't rotate. The box will, the type will stay stationary. That can be a problem for this because we might want to rotate our type. And the other reason I'd say avoid a type box is because once you start making those, they take up a lot of space. And so then when you try to grab your type, you'll find you keep grabbing boxes that you don't want to get instead. Okay, so what we'll do instead is just click and then paste. I'd copy it, I'd put it in my clipboard. And let's see. Looks like it's here. Maybe it's underneath. Yeah, so my type layer arrived, but it's way down, so I just need to raise it up. That could happen to you, so be careful. Or just pay attention to your layers. So now I have my evasive. Evasive was evasive. It hit out. Now, if I want to play around with choosing font or color or size, I'm going to highlight it. Or any kind of warp or anything like that. Now, there's a cool feature where you can scroll through the fonts, and this is how you do it. You click, and just when you get that little blue outline, I think on CS3 it's just solid blue, then you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard, and you can scroll and check out all the fonts. And there's web dings and stuff, we'll avoid those. But, you know, basically just find something you like the looks of. You can use more than one font, but you maybe don't want to use hundreds of fonts. You know, I would definitely limit your options because that's going to pull the whole thing together to have some repetition. Think about the personality of the font you're picking. Is it one that goes with this? Some fonts will look really happy and easygoing. Other fonts look more formal. Some fonts, you know, will look more scholastic. Some of them look like college team letters and that sort of thing. So pick something that goes well. So once you have your font, and I better choose something. So once you have it, you can go in and you can change color. And once you click into this little color box, it'll let you sample, well, it'll let you pick colors here. It'll also let you sample from the colors you've already used. So as you hover over your document, notice you get the eyedropper. That can be a way to really get a unified design by reusing colors you've already used. Repetition leads to unity, to pulling everything together. So you want variety, but you also want enough repetition so that it really looks cohesive, like it's designed to go together. So I might try out some of the colors I already have, possibly. I actually liked that orange I had, though. Let me go for more. So there I go. Now, if I want to copy and, you know, maybe use my type as a texture, I might do something like start it out smaller and I might just go in and start copying and pasting. So actually I don't even need to copy, I've already copied. I can just keep copying to make whole lines of this. And then I can make a new sentence. And I'm saying use your word at least 50 times. Shh. If you guys could stop talking, please, I'd appreciate it. I am recording. Thank you. Okay, so there we go. I can copy. I can also take, once I make, say I did 2 or 3 lines, I could then copy those whole lines. Remember, option drag is a great way to copy. So I can start to get a whole field of type if I want to do something like that. I can take that type and I can hide it under some of my layers too. So you could have some of it showing, some of it hiding, so some strokes, you know, and then the type becomes part of that whole painting. It starts to interact with those brush strokes. If you want to make your type curve, this is what you do. You would first off, you draw your curve, and one way to do it is to take the elliptical or ellipse tool. It's right here under type tool, and we don't want to draw a shape here, we want a path. So I'm going to click into this button, which is the second one over from the left. Now I'm going to draw my circle. Then I'm going to take my type tool and I'm going to click on that path. And I've just made a type path. So I can go and I can start to type my word, and it's going to go around this curve. So that can be kind of a neat look where it's flying around. Let me make that larger. So that's kind of neat. You know, you could play around with that. You could also draw your own curve, so you don't have to rely on your ellipse tool. You can use your pen tool. And if I wanted a curve that maybe wasn't really an exact circle, I could draw it. Now the way that tool works is a little bit tricky. Let me just show it again. You basically click, and then you move to where you want the line to go, and you click and you pull. It gives you handlebars. See how I can spin that? So I can make that curve. And then I'm going to go ahead and click and type. And I can add that word. It's hiding behind, I think that's kind of a neat idea for that word in evasive, to have it, a lot of them hiding under the paint, like it's evading being caught. So that's an option. You can also do type warps on your type. So you can, if you take, say you write a sentence or a word, what you do is you highlight it. You pull this one so we can see it better. I'm going to make it bigger first. Maybe not that big. Okay, so here we go. So I have a really large word. So I can do things like type warp, and to do it I need to be on my type tool. I need to highlight my word, and then I'm going to go here. And it'll let me warp the type. Now one thing about warping type is it does destroy the proportions that have been carefully designed by the typographer. So it's not necessarily the best choice to warp your type. If you're doing a graphic design that's going to go, you know, you're trying to make it look really professional, I would avoid it. It also kind of looks a lot like Microsoft Word warp, and you know, that's used and abused so much. I wouldn't have anything to do with it if I wanted my work to look really professional. That being said, this is the perfect project to use this. You know, warping it, twisting, messing with your type is fine because we're working abstractly. But I would maybe avoid it, or at least using it to the point of destroying letters. Most graphic designers do not use type warp. They might put type on a path, but they don't warp it. So anyways, that's type warp. Now you can also do the same kind of cool effects with your type that we were doing yesterday with our paint. So by double clicking on the layer, let me find this one. So I'm just going to double click in the blue part of the layer so I get my layer styles, right? And what did I do? And I can do things like add a drop shadow to my type. If I click the word, I can move that shadow away. You guys can kind of see on this big word evasive that look. I can fuzz out the shadow more. I can spread that shadow out and make it really bold. Bevel emboss will make it look 3D. So that's an option. You can make it look like it's, you know, has light and shadow that's really giving it curves. There's also an option for emboss and pillow emboss that have a different look. You could try those out. Great thing about these layer styles is you can immediately turn them off if you want to. Gradient overlays, color overlays, strokes. Remember, any of these that you pick, to adjust them, click the word and you'll get the panel. So I could put a black outline on this word evasive. I could change its color here. I could use gradient overlays on my type. You can do all kinds of things with the layer style. So do try those out. See what they're like, how to use them. Last thing I want to show you is how to separate the letters and move the letters. So if you highlight your word, or I'm just going to grab a letter. I'm going to grab the A in evasive. And then if you hold Option Shift and use the arrow keys, watch what I can do. I can take my A and I can drop it. I can do this with a whole word too. Or I can raise it up. If I want to separate the letters, I want more space between them, I highlight and I use my left and right keys, holding Option Shift. Now, as you do that, check out your character panel and you'll see what you're doing. So you can see right here, I just dragged my tracking to be 120. I find it easier to use the keyboard shortcuts as opposed to typing in numbers because you don't really know what you're going to get. But you can see those numbers changing. So to go the opposite way, now I'm going into the 20s, 80s, 100s. It's changing right here. If I just want to drop my letters down, you can see it's happening right here. So when I'm adjusting, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you. Come on. I just adjusted my baseline shift.